What's going on, everyone? You got Sniper here, and I'm back with our transactions after too long a time. I'm not going to go into too much detail about why they haven't been up. I'll probably do that more on my personal channel. But IRL decided to come back and stab me. It was not. Life has not been my friend over the past couple weeks. As well as my mic actually decided to fuck up on me again. So I've gone and ordered a new one, and hopefully it'll make my voice sound a bit better as well. So that's alright. However, I am dealing with being sick. Um, so yeah, good mic plus sick sniper. We'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna do this a bit different. I'm actually on the document spreadsheet for the main league, and how I'm going to do it is there's going to be two videos. I'm going to go over all the transactions from the main first, get all of those done, and then I'm going to go over all the D League ones up to week 6 or 7, week 6 I think, just before week 7 starts. So yeah, our first two transactions were by Dave, aka Fire King, coach of the Minnesota Victinis, who decided to drop Xploud and Sandslash and pick up Gligar and Armaldo. Now, the good thing about this is I might do this in the future. We got the teams here, so you can see the teams and not just hear me saying random ones that it works and doesn't work for. But here's Dave's team, and what he loses is he loses a pretty good wall breaker in Xploud. It's pretty slow, but it's a really nice wall breaker. Very difficult to switch into. Has really nice coverage. All it really needs is Boom Burst and I guess Overheat or Fire Blast. Apart from that, you can just put on filler moves. So that's pretty nice. But he loses that. But by picking up Gligar, it gives him another defogger, because before this, I believe his hazard removal was Sandslash. Yeah, his only hazard removal was Sandslash. And when you have things like Thunderous, who really doesn't appreciate rocks, things like Infernape, even though not weak to rocks, doesn't like switching into rocks lots of times, especially since it's good at gaining momentum. And things like Mega Venusaur even don't appreciate hazards, like coming in on spikes and taking 25%. It's not something it really wants to be doing. So, picking up Gligar is it's immune to spikes, doesn't take much from rocks because of its ground type, which means it can defog away. Has the ice weakness, however, whilst he does have notable ice weaknesses in Thunderous, Gligar, and Druddigon, he has really nice resists in things like Registeel, Vaporeon, and Infernape. So that's pretty nice. And for his other trade, which was Sandslash for Armaldo, but dropping Sandslash, I guess he loses a spinner and a rock setter. But he gets all of that back with Armaldo, and Armaldo is a bit better because it gives him a bug type, which I don't think he had at this point. So the bug option is there, as well as the rock type option as well. And they're two pretty nice things to have. They're not necessary for a team, but they're pretty nice things to have on a team. And to be honest, Sandslash is pretty ass. And his Sandslash was the reason for him losing against XRM. He got blown back by the Zygarde. He could not touch it. So having, so yeah, I feel like he didn't like Sandslash after that much, and he felt he had to bring it because it was his only form of hazard removal, and it's not very good. It's very situational. Whereas Armaldo is a bit better, and with the option of Gligar, it's a lot nicer to. It's not as necessary. And he's pretty comfortable with Armaldo and Gligar as well, so it does add to the dynamic of a Dave team. So going on to our next set of transactions, we have Shiny, aka Murmur, aka Jacob, aka whatever you want to call him. He has many names. Coach of the Flintropius, and he has made 3 transactions in dropping Necrozma, Alolan Persian, and Garbodor for Nihilego, Lanoon, and Leopard, whatever. Um, by doing this, Necrozma loses him decent amount of bulk and a decent setup sweeper as well with things like Calm Mind. Persian Alola loses him a momentum gainer. Parting Shot is really nice to have. It's a very useful thing. However, Alolan Persian isn't like, it's all it can really do. It's not awful, but it's not like brilliant. Bison Guard Birdery loses hazard stacking options in terms of spikes and toxic spikes. But if we go over, also by dropping Necrozma, he would have lost a locker. Sorry, a rocker locker. I'm mixing my words up. But Nihilego actually gives him the toxic spikes and the stealth rocks all in one mon, so that's pretty nice. As well as Nihilego can be a late game sweeper, being able to potentially be Choice Scarf with the Beast Boost to take advantage of, or just being like Specs or Life Orb or something like that. And yeah, he picked up Lanoon. Lanoon is a god. Great setup sweeper with the belly drum. Colton really showcased that thing last season, especially with the buff it got with the gluttony and the 50% berries, meaning it can belly drum, get half of its HP back. If it belly drums from full HP, it's getting all of its HP back, and you have a +6 Lanoon with stab extreme speed in front of you. That almost destroyed me in Season 6, however, Mega Venusaur came through before getting cleaned up by a load of Ninetales, but Lanoon is just really nice, and it can Shadow Claw for ghosts, and that's all you need. And then picking up Lipard gives him Prankster. Prankster, even with the nerf, it's still a really nice ability to have. Having like things like Priority Thunderwave is nice, as well as just giving him some more diverse speed speed pools. Having like Coco who hit 130 and then didn't have a whole lot to back that up, and then you had like Aerodactyl at 150. Then it did drop down quite a bit, but Lipar sort of balances that out, unless I'm completely wrong, and in that case then I don't know. But I don't know Lipar speed, I'm pretty sure it's pretty quick. I hope so anyway. But yeah, they're pretty nice trades. I like them, and I'm not sure which week they were made. It might be over here. No, it's not. No biggie there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Shiny use these. Next up, we have Carlos, coach of the Barcelona Garchamps. My computer is lagging an awful lot. There we go. And he decided to drop Mega Tyranitar, Mimikyu, and Stoutland and pick up Mega Diancie, Reuniclus, and Drifloon. First off, Carlos, what the fuck? You hyped up Mega Tyranitar so much, and after week 3, you've decided to drop it. And second, why the fuck couldn't you just not draft Tyranitar, because that thing destroyed my team? And Mega Diancie was a lot easier for me to deal with in terms of being able to revenge kill. And actually just switching in nicer overall, so fuck you, Carlos. But yeah, he loses like a Sand Setter in Tyranitar, and then Setup Sweeper with Dragon Dance, and just a really hard hitting physical attacker. Like, this thing is so hard to switch into, especially when you have a team like mine with no fighting type. Again, with Mimikyu loses a Setup Sweeper. Also, I guess you can say an emergency button with Disguise if something gets a bit out of control that's not a Mold Breaker Mon. As well as being able to do things like Trick Room and Will-O-Wisp, holding things like a red card, can potentially like win games. And Stoutland he dropped the week after, because there was no point in having Stoutland considering he just dropped Mega Tyranitar. But by picking up Mega Diancie, Mega Diancie was the first Mega I used, but I disregard it as a Mega I've used because of how badly I used it. So this was back in Gen 6. So yeah, Mega Diancie, it's a quick mon. It has a low HP stat, but the rest of its stats are really nice. Base 110 speed is super nice. Hits really hard. Like just firing off Moonblast. It can Rock Polish. It can Magic Bounce. I see it better as bouncing back either Sticky Webs or Status, because problem with it bouncing back Spikes and Rocks is it doesn't like switching into things with Spikes and Rocks, because they tend to have ground type or steel type moves, which blow down back. So, yeah, that sort of sucks. By picking up Reuniclus, this is one of my least favourite mons ever because I always seem to just like have teams that can't deal with it. So I'm glad he didn't have this against me because he probably would have 6-0'd me with that. Oh god, I'm having flashbacks. But yeah, it can calm mind. Obviously, it has reliable recovery. It can just be a wall, a sponge with sort of regenerator. It can just do things like Thunder Wave. It has decent coverage. It can. It gets all the coverage it needs. It gets Shadow Ball for other sidekicks, and it gets Focus Burst for Dark types and Steel types. That's all it really needs, to be honest. It can also do things like Acid Armor, which is just obnoxious, and that makes me want to die. But yeah, and by picking up Driflin, similar to the Delibird thing, but not the same. I'd love to say I know a lot about this mon, but I really don't. The only time I've really seen it used is under terrain. However, Carlos is a very talented battler, and I'm sure he can do some interesting things with it. It does have the Unburden, so you can run the Berry Zone or something like that, so that you're getting the double boost, the double speed, sorry. The Ghost Top's pretty nice for him. Also, an additional ground immunity, just overall. As to his list of ground immunities and things like Gliscor, Electros, and Latios. But in his defense, and Cryogonal. But in his defense, he does have a Heatran, so and a Deontay now, so that doesn't all appreciate ground type moves. But yeah, Drifloon. Again, Carlos is a very talented battler. I'm sure he can do very good things with it. But yeah, I think these trades. He said that he, while he did, like, all joking aside, he did when he said he liked Tyranitar, he did say that he didn't like it like at all. And then the Stoutland drop just makes sense if he's not got a Tyranitar anymore. So yeah, they're pretty nice trades for his team. He uses Reuniclus really well, so I'm sure he'll pick up a couple of sweeps with that, and that will be pretty high up in the kills, as well as being just a defensive nuisance. So yeah, on to the next one. So our next set of transactions was made by XRN or Zern, coach of the Delaware Gear and Black Foxes, and he made 2 more trades. His last 2, he dropped Mew and Mega Ordino for Clefable and Mega Sharpedo. First off, shout out to Zern for picking up my mascot in its Mega form. I think this can be a really good Mega in the format, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Dropping Mew, he loses a lot of things. He loses Hazard Setter, Hazard Remover, Potential Wall, a Setup Sweeper. Mew does a lot, so he does lose quite a bit there. But by picking up Clefable, he has the Stealth Rocker. It gives him a really nice wall. Unaware can be useful in terms of if something was to really set up on him, then he can potentially stop that depending on what mon it is. It can also set up and sweep with the Magic Guard. Can't be hurt by Toxic or anything, so it can Calm Mind up, get Softball for reliable recovery. Moonblast hits really hard after a couple of Calm Minds, and then you can run like Flamethrower for Steel types, or it gets things like Thunderbolt as well, or Psyshock. So that's decent coverage there. Also, the Magic Guard Life Orb set is a really nice set as well. It does a lot of damage, especially since it gets decent coverage. I think it fits really nicely onto his team. Before this, outside of Scum, he didn't have a wall he could bring like every week, because Tentacle doesn't always want to take the bulky role. Stunfisk can't really come every week. So Clefable just gives him something that can be run really bulky and take a lot of hits. By dropping Mega Ordino is an interesting one. It's not. I don't really like it a whole lot. It can be a cleric, but by picking up Clefable, he gains a cleric anyway. I did forget to mention that. I can Wish Pass as well as Heal Bar. So he loses. Clefable is a million times better than Ordino in like every way. So by picking up Sharpedo, even though it can't get the speed boost roll. It's. I've always been confused at why everyone's like held it back so much, because I look at it as, whilst it can be easily revenge killed, it's a mon with base 140 attack with a good typing. Gen 7 it gets Psychic Fang, so it has decent coverage, and 105 speed, as well as getting priority in Aqua Jet. Strong Jaw crunches and Psychic Fangs and Ice Fangs just hit so hard. And whilst we're not going off Usam, just a fact, it's getting Liquidation now, I'm pretty sure. So that's pretty nice as well. But yeah, Sharpedo, I think it's a really cool mon. I think it can be used pretty well in the format, and I feel like if anyone's going to do it, it's probably Sun, because he's a really good player. And as you can see, I'm the one who has to play him next week with this team, so that's going to be pretty fun. But yeah, I really like these trades, and I'm looking forward to seeing him use them, just not against me really. Let's see, next up we have Destin, coach of the mobile Bewares, and he has, they're not over here because Destin's a cuck, but he has dropped Weezing and Noivern, and he's picked up Jinx and Kofag. Now I believe this was done Kofag for Noivern first, so I'll talk about that one first. He loses a lot of speed by dropping Noivern. I also like Noivern for the fact it can, the Frisk ability is really nice just for scouting what items are going to be, because with a lot of monster item it just says a lot about it. For example, a Landorus T, even though Destin has a Lando T, but I'm just using it as an example in this case. It's a very versatile mon, but by the item it's holding, so if you frisk a Rocky Helmet or a or the leftovers, then that may sit as a more defensive set, whereas if you frisk a Z crystal, such as, you know, Fly MZ or Fightinium Z or something, then that makes it seem like a more offensive role with potentially Rock Bullish or Sword Stance. So Frisk is really nice for that, especially something like Northern, which is quick and can just U-turn out after that. He did have a huge ice weakness, so he sort of had to drop that. By picking up Kofag, gives him a big wall. Outside of Feeny, didn't have like really reliable walls because Lando likes being run offensive, and Claydol is straight ass. Klefki's more of a supportive mon as well, so Kofag's really nice for that, with the 145 defense, 105 speed F is really nice. Will-O-Wisp also really nice as well. Toxic Spikes, Toxic Spikes aren't the best considering he has a Tapu Fini, but it is an option there if he doesn't want to bring Fini. And then it can also do things like Trick Room, potentially Calm Mind up, and then fire off things like Shadow Balls. Gets the Hex, so you can run the Willow Hex combo. So yeah, I like Kofag. I don't know whether I prefer it to Noivern, but in terms of like, Noivern didn't fit on the team too well because of the ice weakness, but he does lose a lot of speed by dropping that mon. I believe now his fastest is Mienshao, not including Swampert in the Rain. Oh no, sorry, SS Lazlo, never mind. But he also dropped Weezing for Jinx. So Weezing didn't make a whole lot of sense with Kofag because they both tend to do a very similar role in terms of taking more physical hits, and they can both Toxic Spikes and Will-O-Wisp. By picking up Jinx, it does give him a nice resist, whilst I wouldn't really want to switch Jinx into much. It is a nice resist, so it is there. I believe it also gives him Stab Psychic, which I don't think he has, which is pretty interesting because Psychic types, I find... Oh no, he does have Claydol, but that doesn't count. Psychic types, I always find myself like picking those like early without really realising it. Because, especially with the Pixies, they tend to be Psychic, a lot of Legendaries are Psychic. But, yeah, Jinx provides him with Stab Ice, Stab Psychic. It can be run with a Choice Scarf. I don't know whether it gets Trick or not, but that might be an option. I can't recall whether it gets Trick or not. But obviously things like Ice Beam and then Psyshock or Psychic. And Destin's pretty comfortable with Jinx as well, I believe. So yeah, and it does give him like a little more speed, like buffs his speed up a bit compared to having Weezing. So I prefer Jinx to Weezing for the fact that with Kofag didn't make any sense to have Weezing, and also he had Z Weezing, and he swapped that to Salazzle, which appreciates Z crystals a lot more because it just gives it that extra damage it might need off like a Fire Blast or a Sludge Wave. So that's really nice. Looking forward to seeing Destiny use those. Next up we have the man, the myth, the legend. It's your boy Seaton, aka Colton, coach of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and he has dropped Flygon and picked up Kabutops. He loses Sab with Flygon, as well as, I guess, a potential Defogger and a Choice Scarfer, as well as Stab Dragon and a Ground type. He doesn't have Stab Dragon anymore, but he had a Ground type in Mamo, and Flygon is a really difficult mon to use, I find. It's got good setup, but I really found it hard to set up with it last season when I used it. And even with the Z crystals to give it the added power, I'd sort of go, oh, I could run Fire MZ for, say, a Ferrothorn, but then I'd go, oh, well, I can't do that, or I'll struggle with doing that, because if I run that, then I can't kill this mon, and that just revenges me. So, it's a really difficult one to use. And he has a lot of setup already, and things like Celesteela, which is like all the setup you really need, as well as Nasty Pot, Zoroark, Carmine Gallade, Carmine Gardevoir, SD Gallade, SD Weaver, Tailglade Volbeat. He has a lot of setup, SD Scolipede as well. But by picking up Kabutops, it gives him a spinner, which is there. He can. I don't think it needs rain to function, which is. I'm pretty sure Volbeat gets Rain Dance anyway for the Prankster Rain Dance. But Kabutops can set up the weak armor. Cotton's I'm pretty sure he's a big fan of weak armor, so I feel like he can make that work pretty well. And yeah, overall I think Kabutops just fits his team better than Flygon, because Flygon's just a really difficult mon to use for the Dragon Dance, I feel, because it just doesn't hit hard enough and it gets revenge really easy. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Colton use this. My phone's just powered off, and that's got the list of transactions. Alright, next we have Luna, coach of the Brookhaven Burnets, and he has made his final transaction of dropping Archeops and picking up Meowstic Male, I believe. Yeah, Meowstic Male. And Archeops is it's an alright mon. It even like the Defeatist is just a huge like downfall for it. But he does lose speed and some offensive presence by doing that. However, if you look at his team is insanely offensive. Like, look at this. That is ridiculous. That's more offensive. That's like offensive even for my standards, and I love offense. I don't like wolves. But picking up Meowstic, I think Meowstic's a really cool mon. With the Prankster screens really help his team out, because it gives it the added bulk for 5 or even 8 turns if he wants to run Light Clay, which could help him set with his Altaria. It could help Katana take more than like 1 hit. It can help out Conkerbit, not have to force it to run EV all the time. Gives Darmanitan a bit of extra bulk. Helps some of these mons come in for a lot easier. So, yeah, that's really nice for him. As well as like he can take advantage of Prankster with things like Thunder Wave for a bit of speed control for his team. But apart from that, Meowstic doesn't do a whole lot. But those screens really help his team out a lot. And his Archeops just like it was a difficult one to use on his team because he has so much offense anyway. So by dropping it, he doesn't lose like too much. So that's pretty nice for him. And finally, to end off this marathon of transactions, we have Rishmal. Rishmal, coach of the California Kyogres, and he's made 2 transactions. He has dropped. Oh, he's done this a different way. He's dropped Tapu Bulu and Miss Mag, Geas, and he's picked up Gengar and Virizion. He's done this a different way, which sort of just confuses me, because of the indices just confusing me. But sorry about that. But yeah, first off, it is a crime to drop a Tapu Bulu. If you were gonna drop it, then Richmond, just don't fucking draft it. I really want this man. I'm joking, but I did sort of want this man. But all jokes aside, he loses a massive wall breaker in blue. But its speed sort of hinders it. I can accept that. Its speed does hinder it quite a bit. And by dropping it, he loses a spin blocker and a pretty hard hitting special attacker. But by picking up Gengar, he's getting a much better ghost type. Gengar is an exceptional mon. This is a really good mon. Choice Scuff Gengar is super good. If you don't have to run Choice Scuff and you can run like Choice Specs Life Orb, then that's even more terrifying. I'm actually glad he didn't have this thing against my team, because that is a terrifying mon to face. Gengar, the mon that knocked me out of Season 5 playoffs. But yeah, really, I've used this before. It's a really good mon. It hits really hard. Still gives him the spin blocker. It's just a hard hitting Miss Magius. It's better than Miss Mag in every way, apart from even losing Levitate last gen. It's Curse Body can come in useful. Just like if someone comes in to revenge kill you with, say, Bullet Punch, and you get the Curse Body, Bullet Punch is disabled, they can go and start setting up with, say, Hazard X. So yeah, Curse Body can help his team out if he gets a little bit lucky there. And by picking up Virizion, Virizion is a pretty fun one. It can be either physical or special, being able to either Calm Mind up or SD up. Also having the Z crystals can... Oh yeah, Gengar can hold his Z crystal as well, which is even more terrifying. But yeah, Virizion can hold the Z crystal to run, say, Rocky MZ or just Grassium or Fighting MZ just to hit really hard on the stab. It could also be, I guess, a Choice Scarf holder or a Choice Band user. Choice Band of Virizion is really strong as well. I really like Virizion. It's a very versatile offensive mon in terms of physical or special. So, yeah, and after all of that, I just realised I forgot to mention Geo's transaction. I just forgot to jot it down in my notes that I was reading off of who made what transaction. But yeah, we have Geo here, coach of the Florida Flyguns, and he decided to drop Armaldo and pick up Kecklin. Now, this probably clears up any confusion if people were thinking that Geo had Armaldo before and Dave picked it up, so that sort of makes sense. But by dropping Armaldo, he loses Rapid Spin and Rocks. However, he has a Delmise and an Empoleon, who are both, and a Zapdos, who are all pretty good hazard removers. As well as Rocks, he has Empoleon and Rhyperior. So hazard control isn't too much of an issue. But picking up Kecleon, it's a pretty interesting mon. Protein's pretty nice. Gives him some priority, which he's a little bit lackluster on, outside of things like Quick Attack Lopunny and Quick Attack Victini, which aren't really things you always want to run. Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch and things like that are really nice. Protein's a really fun ability to play around with, getting decent coverage as well. Kecleon actually fits the team a little nicer than Armaldo, just because Armaldo sort of just seemed like it was there. Didn't really do much. He already had a rock type in Rhyperior, and he had like decent bug coverage anyway. So wasn't too, like, things like Rhyperior getting Mega Home, so it wasn't too important him having that. And with things like Silvally, which you can customize to be whatever type, it doesn't matter too much if he has more minor types missing. So Kecleon just fits quite nicely onto the team. It'll be interesting whether Geo can use this any better, as he is having a pretty rough season at the moment. So that is going to be it for this marathon of transactions. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to check out the D-League one, which will be out after this one. Not sure when. Whenever I have time, it'll be some point this week. But we're just gonna check our transaction page so you can see how many transactions we've had in main this season. We have had a lot of transactions, which is really cool because it's nice to see coaches trying to improve their teams. This is our trading block as well. Exoran doesn't like his team. Colton is the only one really taking this seriously. And Destin, he wants sex. So, yeah. Cool. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the PWC channel, subscribe to it, and check out all of the coaches' channels, which are in the channel part of the channel, if that makes sense. Channel part of the channel, we'll go with that. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.